Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. February's been kind of rough for me, like not reading wise. Well, I suppose reading wise, like if you want to compare this month to last month, but I still think I read quite a lot of books. This video is going to be about the last half of February, all of the books that I've read. I did the first half in a previous video. I will put up a card and a link to that video if you're interested. Hope you take a look at it. In this video, I'm only going to be talking about 5 books because that was as many as I read. Duh. So in a grand total in the month of February, I've read 15 books. Definitely not as much as the last month of January. January, I think I read I don't even remember. I'll link a video to that one too. It was like 30 something books. It was ridiculous. I had a lot of free time. Me and my husband just finished moving into this house, so I haven't had quite as much time to read. Plus, my job has also been keeping me quite busy. So I didn't get through as many books as quickly, but that's okay. I went really hard in January, knowing that I probably would have some months on the lower end, especially in the summer for me. So I pumped out as many books as I could in the month of January just to give myself a buffer. Goodreads, I believe, is saying that I'm about 30 books ahead of schedule before reading my Goodreads goal of the year, which is 150 books. I should be able to do it. I can do it. Fingers crossed. But without further ado, let's get into it. I actually this last half of February, I had these books were great. The first book that I read was called A Ruinous Fate by Kaylie Smith, and it is the #1 book in a Heartless Fate series. I have read, as I mentioned in another video, I have seen on Goodreads that it might be getting a name change on Goodreads. For whatever reason, it sometimes shows up as a witch's dice, but that doesn't make any sense because, if the title, like the cover of the book says A Ruinous Fate, unless A Ruinous Fate is this name of the series and a witch's dice is the name of the book. I don't know. Whatever. The book was great. I give it 4 stars. It's a really well-paced fantasy. It has a cliffhanger ending, as most first books in a series do. The main concept of the magic system is a game in the world. I almost said in the game. In the world is that each person, the gods created these dice, and everyone is assigned 6 that they roll in their life. The very first one that they roll gives them the ability to have magic powers. Some have control over the elements and some have control over blood. They didn't mention any others than those 2, the onyx witches, which controls the elements, and then blood witches. I think they called them crap. It's been a while. It's like some color of red witches. And anyway, when you roll your first dice, you get control of magic. And by the time you roll your 6th dice, you are basically, that's as many as you get in your life. And there's these queens over each type. When you roll your 6 dice, they basically can give you a command and you have no choice but to obey. So people generally don't want to roll all 6, but it ends up happening anyway, just because the fates and the gods, they kind of just make them appear in your life. And there's kind of a twist in that if there's some rare people in that if you roll all 6s of your dice, so roll 6, 6, 6, 6 on each of your dice, you are something like these elite warriors. And when enough of them are called, a great war is supposed to appear. And that's kind of the beginning of the story is the main character. She has been rolling 6s, but she's been avoiding rolling her last couple of dice. So she's on roll 4 and she's trying to avoid getting more, but the queens have gotten word that she's been rolling sixes, so they're like, I want her to roll. They want her to roll so that they can start their grand war. Why they want to start this grand war, I don't exactly know. It's been a while since I've read the book. I might have forgotten that plot point, but it's got a lot of great representation. There's some gay, and there's some lesbian, and there's like a love triangle. I'm not exactly sure who I want the main character girl to end up with. The both of the dudes I like for different reasons. So it's like it's not so there's like no there's like some minor, not really minor, but there's some romance threads in it, but it's like not she doesn't end up with anyone quite yet by the end of the book. It's just kind of like, oh, I'm kind of interested in this guy. Oh, I'm kind of interested in this guy, but for different reasons and stuff like that. So I definitely highly recommend giving it a read. It was very enjoyable, very well paced, and a fast read. So, moving on. The next book that I read in this month is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, which is the first book in the same series. I gave it 4 stars. It's an interesting fantasy. I would consider the fantasy elements to be on the lower end. I personally would have preferred a little more world building. There's like this empire and a resistance, and like there's these like masks that are there's these like elite warriors that are called masks, as they actually have a mask, but it like fuses to their face like the more that they wear it, kind of like thing. And it I just would kind of prefer like a little bit more into like, how did this world get to this point where there's literally like an empire like oppressing people, and just they're just really horrible. It's very corrupt as well. And the main character, Laya, I thought was pretty believable. I liked her. I could definitely predict how she'll have like a lot of character growth throughout the series. She starts off as very afraid and very cowardly because she's afraid of dying, as most people would be. Like, her whole family has been killed up to this point, and this happens like pretty much within like the first couple of chapters. Like, her brother gets captured and puts into prison, so she's trying to rescue him, rescue the only family that she has left. There's a little bit of romance in it by the end. There's almost like a love square or a conga line, because there's a male character and then there's the female character, Elias and Laya. And Laya kind of has interest in Elias a little bit, but then she also has interest in this another character called Keenan. And then Elias also has interest in Laya, but he also has interest in another character called Helene. So it's like a conga line or a square, whatever you want to call it. But I enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to reading the next books in the series. The third book I read was just a little comic. It was a thief. It's called A Thief Among the Trees. It's also by Sabaa Tahir. It's a comic. It's a prequel to An Ember in the Ashes. It's cute. It's about when Elias and Helene were when they were young, growing up and being trained to be these elite warrior masks. I might have forgot to mention that when I was talking about Ember in the Ashes, but they are part of the Empire, and they had really rough time growing up. They basically, along with all of their other classmates, get dumped onto an island to steal some poison that the Empire, for whatever reason, needs. But I'm pretty sure it's more of like a test for them. But there's lots of deaths because like there's like a group of people there that'll just like kill them on sight. So they have to like, it's a kill or be killed world. And it's a very cute prequel. I gave it 4 stars as well. Could I be any more awkward? What was that? The thumbs up. Could I be any more awkward? Whatever. So the 4th book I read was called This Woven Kingdom by Tahereh Mafi. It's the first in this Woven Kingdom series. The second book These Infant Threads just came out this month. I have that one on hold currently from the library, so I'll read that as soon as it comes out. I've never read the Shatter Me series, so this was my first Tahereh Mafi book. Not sure. I might read it. The overall, I enjoyed this book, but the first 30% was not grabbing me because there was just something about her writing style that initially felt very narrative rather than directly from the perspective of the characters. So it felt very much like telling rather than showing, if that makes any sense. It was very much like info dumpy almost, and it was very hard for me to kind of keep along. It could have been the audiobook that I was doing I was reading as well as listening to a Kindle to an audiobook. So it could have been the narrator, but the writing style felt very off up until about 30% of the way through the book, when more dialogue started to happen. So the dialogue kind of distracted me from the fact that, like, when you're just reading about what's happening, it felt very off. I don't know how else to explain it, but I did very much enjoy everything else about the book. I love Kamran. I thought he was great. I really dislike his grandfather, Emperor Zal. Like, Emperor Zal just for me felt very much like that gaslighting parent that you have, where it's just like, oh, that's a very good idea, but you're cute, but you're stupid. Please let the adults do all the thinking, sort of mentality. And it's like, he very much annoyed me in a good way in a story, but yeah. Um and just like Kamran, like, while he very much has his faults, he was very open-minded to things, and wasn't like, he would have a bias about something. He would go investigate to just be like, I'm going to go prove that I'm right. He would be proven wrong, and he'd be like, wow, oh, I feel like shit now. Okay. Just like, just like a character that not is willing to just learn and grow, and that's not always normal when it comes to male characters in books that I've read. They're very stubborn, you know. So I loved him, and I can't wait to read more. And the last book that I read, Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I just finished this not that long ago, like maybe about an hour ago. 5 stars. It's only my second Brandon Sanderson book. I've read Elantris, because part of the Cosmere, but I wanted to dive into something more recent than his, but not Cosmere related. I'm starting to understand why people really love him. He has a way of writing that very much grabs you, like, right from the first page, and like, it's very much a page turner, like, not like even the slow bits in all stories, because you can't always have highs in stories, like, you have to have the lows as well. Like, even his lows felt like, I need to know more. I need to know what's going to happen next. It just felt very well paced. um it's a if you've not read Skyward, it's very much a sci-fi novel where, and I'm going to describe it, and it's going to sound like your stereotypical, like, space adventure, but like, it's not. It's like, so humanity has gone to the stars, and at some point, like, a portion of humanity crash lands on another planet, and they're basically just trying to survive. And there's this enemy alien race that they call the Krell that's basically trying to kill them, and they're just trying to survive. And there's like these aerial space battles in a military, and the main character girl is sh- mm, I don't it's a little bit of a spoiler for the first chapter. So if you don't want to know, like, the very first chapter spoilers, maybe skip ahead like like 2 minutes or something into the video. But her father was also a pilot, and he basically runs away and is labeled a coward, and he dies. And because of her father being a coward, growing up throughout all her life, she has been treated poorly by society, which very much annoys me, but it's still really believable because, like, society just has a tendency to punish children for their parents' failings and faults. And that's pretty much it. So the book is about her trying to become a pilot and basically join the force to protect humanity and fight against the Krell, but also, like, the pilots don't want her there because, she's the daughter of a coward. They'll think she's going to do the same thing. It made me there was like 2 parts, maybe 3 parts in the book that made me tear up, and as soon as you can make me cry, you're more than likely going to get an extra star point, because for me 4 stars and 5-star books are pretty much the same as far as, like, as my dog. 4 and 5-star books are pretty much the same as far as, like, the content and how they're well written. It's just, for me, if I give a book 5 stars, it's because it made me feel something. It made me feel something. It, more than likely will make me cry. If you can make me cry, you're getting an extra star rating. Authors, just saying. Like, if you can make me cry, and especially make me cry more than once because I empathize with a character, then yeah. But that's it. That's all the books that I read. Again, like, take a look at my other videos. Like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much for watching.